This is from DeAndrew Upshaw showed on CNN. She's a Dallas resident. She received
It's a guy.
Oh, DeAndre received a $6,700 energy bill.
As I understand it, they warned that your bill was going to skyrocket, but did you have any idea that that meant $6,700?
No idea. In Texas, usually when we have a bad bill, which we were bracing for, our normal month's usage is about $80 for February. We were anticipating $300 or $400, but never in any stretch of the imagination did I think $6,700 would be what they charged me.
You're seeing these type of stories all over the place, right? Where people are getting thousands of dollars of phone bills. Electric bills. And what's going to be fascinating is to watch and see if folks like Ted Cruz, particularly Ted Cruz, but Cornyn, any of the Republican lawmakers, really anybody, calls for debt forgiveness here.
Yeah, but Sam, what about all the other people that paid their electric bills in times of crisis, right? Wouldn't that delegitimize the money that they paid?
First of all, it would provide a moral hazard, right? The idea that if your bill is too large, you would get it relieved in some fashion. It also is like personal responsibility. You were willing to accept the flex pricing when it was cheaper for you, but you're not willing when it's more expensive. I mean, just contemplate somebody making those type of arguments and how absurd it would sound to your ears if you're one of those people who makes those arguments about college debt relief. I mean, it is exactly parallel. And nobody would be going, find me the person, I'm sure there's some, who are going like, well, you're just out of luck. $16,000, $7,000, $10,000. You spun the wheel and that's what you got.
Yeah, but nobody's going to say that. Probably all the people that are in debt or have all these high electric bills that can't pay them, they're probably all really rich people that went to Ivy League colleges.
Well, it's like, I mean, it doesn't even matter what their wealth is, but I get your point. But the point is like joke, you entered into the contract. Yeah. You entered into the contract.
Can I ask why these bills are so high? Like, what is the justification on the part of the electric companies?
Demand, supply are mismatched. So you own a bakery, you sell your cupcakes for $2, and at 4:30 you got one cupcake left, but 50 people come in and they hit the counter right at the same time.
I see. Right. So they get to profit on the front end by having crappy infrastructure, and on the back end as well when, oh no, electricity is scarce, we have to charge more.
This is the best thing in the world as far as they're concerned. This is like hitting.
Well, there's no competition. There's no competition, right? Like if the Republicans want there to be competition in a free market, there should be other electric power companies that are able to provide for people. But like that's not the reality.
You would think. I just hope that there's some kind of concerted effort to resist this, because I feel like Americans are still pretty cucked on some levels, and they might just end up doing what the electric company is offering them, which is, oh yeah, you can pay this off over the course of 10 years.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I mean, this is, it's unbelievable. And I would even say that, like, if you have this perspective on student debt, understand that it's the federal government that is making money off of people. It is less justifiable to not relieve student debt than it would be to relieve the debt of these electric customers. And to be clear, I think all of it should be relieved. I don't think that they, but hopefully Texas voters at least will understand the implications of like, oh, I guess this sometimes you get bit on the ass for this stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, ERCOT, like, they're responsible for these systems being faulty. They didn't weatherproof anything.
But ERCOT is they're not in charge of doing this.
Well, it's
But
just because it's the market's so deregulated. I mean,
Yes,
don't they
Erica,
oversee it?
Yeah, that's not. No, they don't. It's not their job to regulate the market. Their job is just to basically shuttle where electricity is coming in. So they're just basically they're just traffic cops, but they don't make the laws that say you need to like stop at the red light or this and that. They're just traffic cops.
Right. Well, yeah.
This is deregulated. The only thing that they have the ability over is to say like, we're hitting critical overload. And so we've got to do the rolling blackouts, because if we don't, the whole system shuts down and we can't start it up again for a month. Like, I don't understand exactly how that works. Apparently you go from a dead, if the grid is mismatched and you blow essentially the circuit, this is rudimentary understanding of it. You blow the circuit, you've got to you've fried your panel and you've got to go fix that. And it's going to take a month.
But then who's responsible for quality control? Like in terms of weatherproofing their systems?
That's it. There's no regulation.
Okay.
They expect the private suppliers of these energy suppliers to do it, because they're like, well, you've got all these profits. It's just like basically saying to the banks in the wake of the financial crisis, we're going to bail you out. And so we are hoping that you guys will offer, pay it forward to your customers. And the bankers just said like, oh, you mean we don't have to? Okay, we won't after we get the money. And that's exactly what happened with these energy companies. They're not required to put heating elements on their windmills. They're not required to put heating elements on their on how they're drilling for natural gas or their pipes. They're not required in any of these instances to weatherize for these type of extreme weather events. And their attitude is like, it's once in a 50-year thing, once in a 100-year thing. Why should we do it?
Yeah.
And
meanwhile,
they profit from it.
Right.
They are required by the directives of capitalism and their shareholders to maximize profits at all costs. So why would they do any of that stuff? This is just one more example of how these many, many crises in which we find ourselves are going to be immensely profitable for the corporations. They're profiting. They're probably going to profit off of interest fees and late fees too when people can't pay their bills. And corporations profit off of poverty all the time.
Without a doubt.